There is this trap we might not entirely run away from. The fact that while trying to seek medical help from any source, we can run into some problems that we never expected. I remember a time someone close to me was diagnosed of diabetes. There's nothing on this planet he wasn't advised to do. Nothing. There's even this particular neighbor of ours that advised that all he had to be doing is take this concoction morning and evening. I'm looking back at that, I'm just wondering, did that thing actually help at all? Or did it cause more harm in the whole process? And I mean, some of all these things are done out of goodwill or out of the need to see you recover. That's fine. But the thing is, some of them can make things worse if they are not properly examined by a medical expert. For instance, when some people don't understand the typical difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes, they are usually quick to assume that everything is caused by what you eat. And then this affects how they go about the treatment and all that. But this is not entirely true for type 1 diabetes. And if you are wondering why I say that, come with me, let me tell you a story about that. Type 1 diabetes develops when your immune system begins to destroy this particular insulin producing organ called pancreas. Just remember that insulin is a chemical in your body that helps to regulate the sugar level that circulates in the system. And so because your body is no more making enough insulin or is not making at all, then sugar begins to pile up in your system and your body is not getting it to make enough energy. And for that reason, you start losing strength, getting weaker. And then you start feeling thirsty all the time and hungry all the time. It doesn't stop there. You also start feeling dizzy. And so this set of people who don't understand what is going on, we now assume that you've been eating certain things, majorly sugary things, and that's why you have diabetes. No. And this is probably the commonest lie that people tell about this type 1 diabetes. They now assume that anybody who has diabetes might have been taking something like eba, yam, rice, semu, and coke, Pepsi, and stuff like that. Just anything that contains sugar. But it's not like that. Someone can be eating healthy all his lifetime and still end up with type 1 diabetes. It's not about what you eat. It's about your gene and your immune system. And this is where we have to be very careful because misconceptions like this can actually go a long way to create this feeling of shame and blame games among people who are even trying to help. Imagine a child that is diagnosed of type 1 diabetes and now you start assuming that because the child has been taking too much candy or ice cream. No, that's unfair. The one that pains me most is when this set of people now try to say that type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes are the same. As how now? And this can cause serious confusion, because it's very easy for anybody to assume anything, following the perception that all of them has to do with high sugar level and so all of them are the same. No, there are key differences in them. While in type 1 diabetes, it doesn't make enough or it doesn't make any insulin at all to help regulate the sugar in your system. Whereas in type 2, your body is making it, but your cells are not assimilating the insulin to regulate the sugar in your system. And so they keep up piling up. And this is what is known as insulin resistance. Now, some other learned people have come out to say that this particular type 1 diabetes is only found in children, and that's why it's called juvenile diabetes. Anyway, fine. Over the time, this type 1 diabetes has always been found in children and teenagers, and historically this name juvenile diabetes was given to it based on this. But there's a new update. Study has it that even adults too can have it. In fact, most adult cases have been diagnosed in their 20s, 30s, 40s and thereabouts. The problem is that many times, if proper diagnosis is not carried out, this particular type of diabetes can be assumed to be type 2 diabetes, and it has a lot to affect how the person improves. Now, I can see that a whole lot of you are now enjoying this video, but you know what? You have to subscribe to this channel. I know a lot of you who have not subscribed, so just do that before I call you out. All right. Now let's continue. This set of people have actually come out in one other space to say that anybody who has type 1 diabetes has to depend on wheat. But do you know that even wheat itself is a carbohydrate, also has glucose in it? That's sugar. Now, the argument is that since wheat is made of whole grain, it has a lot of fibers and it can help control the sugar spikes that happen immediately after such meal. That's fine. But doctors have also come out to say that dieting in type 1 diabetes is more about balancing the amount of carbohydrates you take with the doses of insulin that the patient is taking. So, because at the end of the day, all carbohydrates are going to be broken down into glucose, which is the main cocoa in this particular thing we are talking about. So, whether you are eating wheat bread, semo, eba, apple, whatever it is that you want to eat, this is where a dietitian has to come in to help you determine the amount of calories in all those things and balance it out with the insulin doses you are taking. It does not stop then. A dietitian will also help you to pair this carbohydrate with other classes of food so that this will slow down the digestion and the release of the sugar in them, thereby controlling the spikes and all those. You know, the biggest lie that people tell about this type 1 diabetes is that insulin cures type 1 diabetes. Do you believe that? Anyway, insulin is just a treatment, it's not a cure. These are two different things. While insulin helps to control the amount of sugar in the blood to regulate it and maintain survival for people who have this type, it doesn't entirely take away the disease itself. And even though we are hoping that one day medical science can just bring out a cure for this, as it stands now, type 1 diabetes doesn't have a permanent cure yet. And so what this thing means is that all those who have this type will have to depend on constant injection of insulin, constant monitoring of their glucose levels in the blood, and a combination of dieting and other lifestyle changes that your doctor will have to walk you through. Now, this is what we're seeing. That misconceptions like this can go a whole long way to negatively affecting how people with type 1 diabetes improve. But when people understand better, it helps. It makes diagnosis and treatment a lot easier and more effective. Now, I see that you have learned a lot from this video and you are hoping to watch it and learn as much as you have learned from this. But then, if you did not subscribe, you're going to miss all that. It's not just that. When you subscribe, you have to turn on your notifications so that when the video comes, you'll be alerted when that happens. But by the way, thank you so much for watching till this ends. I hope to see you in the next video.